Hi, this is Randy. Welcome to my channel. Glad to have you. Omega Times, the end times. If you would please subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button. It's the bottom right hand corner of your screen's a little red subscribe button on there. If you would hit it, if you would give me a thumbs up and share it with someone, that would be wonderful. That's how we're going to build the channel to get more viewers from people who like to have things from the Word of God. We're going to talk today about what do you put into your mind. Every day, everyone has a choice, most of the time, on what you put into your mind. The reason I say sometimes is because I worked at a workplace where the first 11 years I worked a job, I was in a factory, and a lot of people hollered out obscenities and talked pretty vulgar and all that. Well, I can't stop 100 men from doing what they're doing when I'm an ordinary worker, so I had to listen to that all day long. And so there I had no choice. But you have a choice in most situations what you put into your mind and what you listen to. And so we're going to talk about what do you put in your mind. Philippians chapter 4, and we're going to start with verse 8. And we're going to read verse 8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever is true, whatsoever is honorable, whatsoever is right, whatsoever is pure, whatsoever is lovely, whatsoever is good repute, if there be any excellence, and if anything worthy of praise, dwell on these things. The things that you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you. What did it say? It said, practice these things. What we put into our minds determines what's going to come out of our mouths and out in our actions. Or as computer people used to say, I don't know if they say it anymore, junk in, junk out. What you feed your mind on is what you're going to be, and it will show up in your words and your actions. Paul tells us that we are to be true, that we're supposed to be noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, and praiseworthy. So what are you feeding your mind on, all right? Whenever I hardly watch any TV shows on the big networks, all right? I mostly watch YouTube. I can select what I want to watch, when I want to watch, and then I know what I'm getting. But once in a while, I'll turn something on, and if they start talking filthy language, just one word after another, you know how it is. There are some movies and some programs, they can't say a sentence without putting something filthy in it. And so I turn the channel. I don't listen to it because I can't listen to that all day long, all night long. I had to do it when I was on the job the first 11 years. But I was fortunate when I got out of the factory work and got into advertising and making radio and TV commercials with a lot of the sports people. All right, I had more control over what could be said around me because I very quickly moved up into management. Then when I went to work at a car dealership, I wound up being the general manager in 16 months. And I was in charge and called all the shots. Also, the owner asked me to put a book together on rules and regulations for the employees, what you could and couldn't do. So I was in control. I could control a lot of that. So I did. But if you're on a job where you can't, then you listen to that filth all day long. And when you go on your way home, I felt like I need to put a rag through one ear, pull it out the other, and do this, try to clean my mind from what I heard all day long. But thank God the Lord opened it up, and the next 27 years I worked, I was a manager. And I was able to control what went on around me, and I had the authority to make sure that that wasn't going on. And I told my employees, we're going to not act like we're in a pool hall somewhere or, just talking filthy in front of women and children. That stuff's not going to happen here. If you continue to do it, you won't work here. We're going to have a happy place. You're going to get good money. We're all going to be in good shape. I'm giving you bonuses and incentives, but the filthy language has got to stop. This is a place of business, and we cater to families, and women and children come in here, and we're not going to have this going on. What if the customer does it? I said, you let me worry about that. I hear a customer, I'll take care of it. But you're not going to answer them back tit for tat. All right? You cannot do that. We cannot win the battle, lose the war. So whenever somebody got in there and they started cussing, ranting and raving, I go over to them. I say, sir, you need to tone it down. We have women and children in here. We don't allow foul language in here. And if you can't stop it, then you're going to have to leave. Well, what if I don't want to leave? I'll say anything I want to say. So then we'll call the police and they'll help you find your way to your car and get you out of here. It's your choice, but you're either going to sit down and behave yourself right now or you're going out the door. I got two big gentlemen standing right behind you and they're going to help you out the door. 99% of the time they said, I'm sorry. They sit down. It all calmed up. You know, the one place I led for 5 years before I moved, and I only had to throw, well, when I say throw, we didn't throw them out. I told them they had to go. I had two people that I ordered out and told them I didn't want their business. I just tore the paperwork up and threw it away. So we don't want a customer like you. I don't go somewhere else. Find something. I hope it works out great for you, but we don't want people like you here. You're just going to be a pain in the neck, and you're going to be doing this all the time, and we just don't want that in our business. Thank you much. What happened? One of them, the wife, come back and they asked me if he came in and behaved himself and he wouldn't give us no more trouble even in service after the sale. Could they really liked the car and they liked the way my guy treated him. I said, if he can come back in, keep his mouth shut, keep it clean, then no problem. But if he lets one word fly out of his mouth, he's out of here. And she said, all right. He came in, he acted perfect. 2-3 years later, I'd see him to get in service. He'd come up and talk to me. Was a nice man. People will only do what you allow them to do. And you will only allow into your mind what you allow in your mind. When you're on a job that you have no choice, I understand. But when you're in control and you're at home or you're in your car or you're standing at a relative's house having a family barbecue, if somebody's getting out of hand, you can talk to them about it. If it doesn't go over well, you can always go home. You know, you have to control what comes into your mind. And the Bible tells us, is it true? Is it noble? Is it right? Is it pure? Is it lovely? Is it admirable? Is it excellent? Is it praiseworthy? If it isn't these things, then you need to stop listening to that. Do you have a problem with impure thoughts? Or with daydreams that aren't of a good nature? All right? Examine what you're putting into your mind and what you're putting into your thoughts. And also look at what you're watching on the TV, on the internet, what books you're reading, what conversations you're having with friends, what movies you're watching, what kind of magazines you're reading. Screen everything and say, is this what I'm looking at going to be profitable to me? Will it lift me up? Is it negative? Is it dirty talk? Is it stuff I really don't want to hear? All right? I can't stand to be around people that talk absolutely filthy. It just completely turns me off. And it don't matter if I'm at the fairground or if I'm at wherever, you know, a ballpark, you know. A couple times at the ballpark, I had to turn around and tell a guy, hey, sir, I'm not trying to give you no trouble. You paid for your ticket, and I understand that. But I got two small kids here in the front. Could you kind of ease up on the MF and the F and screaming into our ears? Well, I paid for a ticket just like you did. I said, you sure did. That's what I said. You bought a ticket. You have a right to be here. But I'm asking you, I got a wife and two children here. Can you tone it down and let up on the F and the MF? He just got a little belligerent with me. Finally, a usher came down and saw us not arguing, but they could tell I wasn't real thrilled. And I said, is there any seats around here we can go where I'll have to sit here? I got two children and a wife sitting here, and this guy's FMF, every sentence, screaming and holler. Every strike that he thinks ought to be a ball, he hollers out obscenities. I don't want to sit in front of this guy. And then his wife spoke up, and she said to the usher, don't worry about it. He's going to shut up. And then she pulled his shirt and he sat down and she chewed him out. Then she tapped me on the shoulder and said, I'm sorry, sir. You have children, have your wife. And she goes, my husband just does that all the time, but I'll keep an eye on him. I said, well, thank you. I'm not trying to cause no trouble. You got a right to, to be here. You paid for a ticket, but I got a right to move somewhere else, even if it's higher up, and get away from this because I don't want my children to have to listen to this. And So at the end of the game, the guy even shook my hand, said he was sorry, and he apologized. All right, I never got up in his face. I never screamed. I never got hostile. I just said I'm going to have to get an usher. We're going to have to figure out a way to move us, not them, move us to a different area so I don't have to listen to this all day long. Folks, you are in control 90% of the time on what goes into your mind. Like I said, if you're on a job where you have no control, you're going to listen to stuff all day long. But when you're out on your own, in your own car, in your own house, in your own yard, when you're with friends, if friends start acting up and you're not at home, you can say, hey, can you cut that down a little bit? If they take offense, they don't want to do it, you can always sit your iced tea down and say, well, guys, I got to go. You all have a wonderful day. It's been good being with you, and just walk off and leave. There's no need putting junk in your mind. Replace the bad thoughts with good thoughts, all right? And read God's word and pray and ask God to help you focus your mind and redirect your mind on things that are pure and on things that are good and on things that are lovely, all right? And if you find yourself starting to say something that you think, boy, I don't know if that'll be all right or not, don't do it. Stop it. You know how many times I started to put a post up? I have a Rumble page, and I have a YouTube page, and I have a Facebook page. I started to put a post up a couple weeks ago. I looked at it, I thought, no, this is probably good. And wasn't nothing dirty in it. I mean, I'm a Christian, I'm a retired pastor, I don't talk with a filthy mouth. But I had a post that maybe could be a little controversial or whatever you want to call it. And something just checked me before I hit post. And I reread it and I said, no, I don't want to put that up. So I just deleted it. And I put something else up. Why? Because I try to think, I do my best to try to practice what the Bible tells us to do. And in Philippians chapter 4 and verse 8 and also verse 9, it tells you what you should do and what you should think about. And we need to replace our bad thoughts and ask God to help us focus our mind on pure and good thoughts. It takes some practice, but it can be done. You can put a stop to this. If you have impure thoughts, whether they're trying to get even with somebody, trying to hurt somebody, or whether it's of a sexual nature or whatever it may be, if you have impure thoughts and you're having bad dreams and you're having things that are bothering you, then you need to redirect your mind and pray and ask God what you can do. Maybe it'd be a good idea. I've said this many times. I've done it myself. Before you go to sleep at night, read a chapter out of the Bible. Read a good chapter out of the Bible and then just pray before you put your head down at night. You'd be surprised how much that will help you. Many times I woke up in my chair at 4:30 in the morning and my Bible's on here like this. And I'll wake up and I'm like, oh man, I haven't even went to bed. Sometimes I'm like, this chair feels pretty comfortable. It's only 2.5 hours till I get up. I'll just stay in the chair. Or sometimes I get up and I go on to bed. Why? Because I was reading my Bible, got done reading, I started praying, I just kind of closed my eyes, trying to clear my mind, and I fall asleep. Why? Because God will keep you in perfect peace if you keep your mind stayed on Him. That's what the Bible says. He'll keep you in perfect peace if you keep your mind stayed on Him. That's why I don't watch TV news. That's why I don't listen to the news on the radio. You say you're burying your head in the sand, you don't know what's going on. No, I have things set up on my internet. I have things set up on my telephone where I follow like the baseball Cardinals, the Kansas City Chiefs. I've been a Chiefs fan for 40 years. I've been a Cardinal fan my entire life. And then I put on there certain things that I want to know about. And I'll scan the headlines on my phone. If there's something I think that's important and I'll look at it. If not, I don't do it. But why? Because the news is 99% bad. Plus, they don't always give it to you accurately. They slant it the way they want. So I don't watch it. And therefore, I feel a lot better. I feel a lot better. I don't subscribe to any newspapers. I just don't do it. Why? Because it's nothing but 90% or 95% of bad news. I just don't want to hear it all because it doesn't lift me up. It doesn't make me happy, and it doesn't enlighten my life. It doesn't make me any better. All right? So you do what you think's best for you, but I'm telling you, what do you do and what do you put into your mind? Remember Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. And I'm going to read it again and we're going to close. Let's read it one more time. Finally, brethren, whatsoever is true, whatsoever is honorable, whatever is right, whatsoever is pure, whatsoever is lovely, whatsoever is a good report, if there is any excellence, and if there's any worthy praise, dwell on these things. Now he says one more thing here. The things you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you. If you're tormented, if you are bothered, and you can't sleep at night, and you're having impure thoughts, you must redirect your mind and ask God to help you and start looking at, like I said, what are you watching on TV? What are you watching on the internet? What books are you reading? What conversations are you having? What movies are you watching? Start evaluating everything. What's bothering you? And I'll tell this real quick before I close. I had a guy come to me one time wanting to pray for me. He wanted me to pray for him, and he was not being able to sleep at night. And he was starting to have a few fears. And then he was starting to have problems. And so I asked him, I said, can I ask you a question? What are you reading? Oh, I read the Bible, 2 or 3 times a week. I don't read many books. I just don't like them. I might look through a magazine. I said, okay, what are you watching? Come to find out, long story short, every Friday night he was renting 5 or 6 horror pictures and chainsaw pictures and mass murders and everything. And he was watching this stuff all Friday night till the wee hours of Saturday morning. Then the next 2 or 3 nights he couldn't sleep, and he was having all sorts of, even having bad dreams. I said, you got to quit doing that. You can't watch that junk. And he goes, you think? I said, what else could it be? The thoughts you're sharing with me. So he stopped it and started replacing it, and he got better. And it wasn't very, very long time either. So just remember, what you do and what you put into your mind will affect how you talk and what you say and how you act. So please do the things that God asks you to do. If you would please subscribe to the channel, I would love it. If you would share with someone, that'd be wonderful. Give me a thumbs up. I would help me too, so they'll push this out to other people. Just want to help people and give them what the Lord has to say in His Word. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time this time. Till next time, old Rev May signing off. You have a wonderful day and watch some more of the videos, and I'll see you on the next one.